Live right now. We're now live, Sean. I hope you're excited.
I'm really excited. We're live.
And I am trying to edit camera layouts midstream.
That's good. We didn't want to disappoint the fans, so we thought we'd, do it live.
If stuff works, that's a problem.
Yeah. Anyway, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm not too bad. It's been a busy day of being unemployed and doing fuck all and nothing all day. So
I was wondering how you managed to live your life the way that you do in a house full of Lego.
It's really tough. I have to build Lego every once in a while. I get by.
Every day, all the time?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much always building.
Well, that's good. Well, how do you buy it? Do you just steal it from old ladies on the street?
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. So what I do is I wait for old ladies to go into like Mastermind or that kind of thing, and they buy a gift for their kid or whatever, their grandkid. Obviously, they're old ladies.
Well, Lego is for adults, so
exactly. And then I steal it from them, and I beat them up a little at the same time.
Well, but you lucked out, and you got a really sweet set today. So
exactly, it's the Yavin. I had to beat up at least a whole old lady. I'm trying to fix this stream while talking, and it's going awful.
It's really good. I will try and distract you. There's Yavin.
There's Yavin 4. It's one of 4 planets in the Yavin system, actually. What are you building, Sean? Oh, that's a big box. What's in that? Like a Dorito? Like a really big Dorito?
I got this from the Doritos chip factory. Actually, they were having a giveaway, and it's very light. Actually, surprisingly light.
Oh yeah.
Now that I figured it out, we did a little bit of a live Instagram story thing, and I had no idea what to open, and I couldn't find the instructions, so I thought that I'd been screwed by Lego once again. But apparently, there's some giant book. This is my first UCS set. Have you ever built a UCS set?
No, never. I don't even know what those look like.
Those ones you just stole from old ladies. They were pre-assembled.
Yeah, exactly. Pre-assembled. I've never actually built my own Lego set. It's kind of a weird thing because you'd think I would have built a Lego set on the stream before, but no, it's actually all CG.
Really?
Yeah.
That must be really expensive.
I'm not even real.
You're not real?
Yeah, I'm not even real. I'm actually AI generated.
That makes sense. So, what's your fancy knife? Do you have a fancy knife? I've been watching a lot of internet people, and they have a very fancy knife to open their box with.
So I actually do have a Batman knife and a couple other cool knives, but today I'm just using a one of these.
A poker stick.
A very, very sharp knife that makes no sense for cutting tape.
Well, so Yavin 4, one of the 4 planets of the Yavin system, or are all the planets in the system called Yavin? And they're like, well, Yavin 3 is a bit swampy, so let's go build in this forest Yavin 4.
I'm not sure. I know it's something dumb where like it's like an ancient building on Yavin 4 that they use as their basis. But it's the first Star Wars, so a lot of that's not really thought out. Kind of thing. So they had to George Lucas. He was new to thinking.
Yes, new to thinking. Well, they had to didn't they retcon that with like one of the video games where you could was it like a Jedi temple many years before? Because they couldn't think of another planet name. They're like, let's use one we've already got. Because,
why not, right?
It's easier that way. People will know where it is.
No one will know.
Did you kick me out of the stream again?
No, I've figured it out. Look, we have the custom layout that has the right camera angles now.
Nice.
Sorry, actually, instead of Yavin, I should build this Gabby's Clubhouse set.
Nice. Well, you can put Gabby in the temple.
Exactly. She's now a Jedi, right?
Well, isn't she on the new show that's on Disney Plus?
I think so. It's probably something to do with a cat house, I imagine.
Yeah. I got a thing. There's no head.
to open another bag to get the head.
I think by the time the stream's over, I will have built the stand.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Yeah,
But-
I actually, like, in the past, I stopped building very large sets on Quick Build After Dark because I was running into that exact issue where I think I was building the UCS AT-AT, and I went over by a couple hours. So now I've gotten a little smarter where, like, I'll build a smaller set. Today, obviously, I built the Yavin, very small set.
Well, I checked in a couple of weeks ago. Was it last week? 2 weeks ago? You were finishing a Harry Potter set. I didn't know if you like saved the one set week to week to be like, come on, follow me on my adventure while I do this Harry Potter world. And then you like actually set it aside for the next week because people were like dying to see how the sticker went on in book 4 or chapter 4 of the instructions or whatever it is. But do you just like you're halfway through something and you just keep building it because you'd be building anyway, or do you actually have one continuous? Like if you don't finish this today, are you gonna finish it next time, or just finish it tomorrow?
So that one was just an accident where I just didn't have time to finish building it.
Right.
Otherwise, normally like the stream will finish and I'll just finish a build and I won't bother keeping people on the same build. Because like what I've kind of noticed week over week, people don't really pay that much attention to what you're building.
Really?
Yeah, like the angle's not really that great. It's more about talking and just being dumb and having drinks and building some Lego.
I can get that sense of the general fun that you exude on your streams. So
Yeah.
And I guess I barely know you. We met like what is it 3 weeks ago now?
I think so.
Time flies. Only 49 weeks until the next time we see each other. But yes, I came to Bricks in the Six in the fine suburb of Mississauga. And you were
not in the 6.
Not in the 6, but yes, you were quite the entertaining host, and you gave quite the good vibe impression, and you were a very welcoming host. And
so I tricked you.
You did. You definitely did.
Perfect.
Things I've read online since. Oh my gosh. People are like, "What? You're going on his live stream? You're gonna be like arrested tomorrow."
I hope so.
But I said, "Yeah, let's do it." Let's see.
Hopefully that was Mike.
But yeah, it was. I really had an amazing time at Bricks in the Six. I feel a strange absence in my life of your wild energy and the positive. I don't know. I'm sure it's the convention high that everyone gets of like, ooh, look at all the fun stuff and let's hang out and have burritos together. And we didn't eat burritos together, did we?
I don't think so. Did we? I don't know if we had any actual food together at all.
No.
We'll have to remedy that next time.
Yes. I just kept like walking by the restaurant and there would be someone there from the convention and they'd be someone that I really wanted to talk to and I would look at them and they'd be like, come on over. And I'd be like, okay. So I had a great time. I met basically everybody that I could have imagined and more people that I didn't even expect to be there. And yeah, it was such a good experience.
Yeah, I think I saw you there multiple times, and I came over and fondled your head at some point.
Yes.
But like, for the most part, I saw people there. I'm like, oh, they look really fun. I'd love to stop and chat with people, but then I'd have to run off and do, God knows what for the con.
Yeah. Now,
so it was kind of crazy.
Have you already built so many pieces? Holy cow, how fast are you? I'm still like opening bags.
Well, my set's a little smaller.
I guess. I've got probably as many pieces in these bag one as you have in your entire set. Are you what do they call it? Knolling? Are you a knoller? Do you organize your pieces?
No, I don't organize at all. I just start building. I build quickly. It's the name of the channel. So
that's the name of the channel.
But like I'm just good at kind of continuing to talk while build, so it's kind of funny because I've been on other people's streams where like we've had a full conversation and I finish a set and they're like, "Oh, I built 2 pieces on my set." I'm like, it's because my wife is unfortunately somebody who has to be next to me all the time, pretty much. So whenever I'm building a Lego set, I'm talking to her. So I've gotten very good at just continuing to talk while doing this, and it kind of scares some people who join in on this. Pretty funny.
Well, you're definitely scaring me already. So, so and how long have you been doing this? I noticed that your Tumblr site, is that what it is?
Yeah.
The blog is from like 2010, so this is 13 years straight, or
Yeah, I think with Quick Build, it's been about 9 years.
wow.
The blog's been around a little longer, but basically the Tumblr thing is because it costs me no money to host a website via
Yeah.
Tumblr. I pay $13 a year for the domain, and that's it. And then also it aggregates from all of the other news websites automatically, so it's really a no-brainer when it comes to using a Tumblr.
Yeah.
Although it's always funny when somebody's like, "Oh, I noticed the Tumblr," and I'm like, "Yeah, we're a Tumblr still."
Hey man, Tumblr's where it's at. That's the best place to
It's the best
Tumble?
place to get some free hosting.
free hosting.
That's how I see it.
Yeah, I had a nice Tumblr account back in the I don't know when.
But you quit when they got rid of the porn. Yeah. Fair enough.
You know, that's how I was making my money, really. But well, actually, you know, there's all sorts of fun things that we don't want to talk about. But my first ever website that I bought, which is now being purchased by someone else after I gave up the payments, was hotjanitor.com. And it was a art site. It was kind of like a mocking, like let's talk about how, you know, modern society and pornography have this intersection, and you know, basically anything can get you off. And I was like, what about cleaning houses? So I had a bunch of pictures of me mopping toilets at the local bar, like rubber gloves on and stuff, and it was pretty exciting stuff. But you know, then I ended up, you know, doing something else. But yeah, hotjanitor.com. If you ever wanted a good, I think someone's just sitting on it now, waiting for the next big, you know, cleaning fad to come along.
Oh, that's fucking amazing.
Yeah, things you learn on a live stream.
Have you ever admitted that on a live stream before?
No, I've never admitted that on a live stream. So now people are going to be like, hunting that down.
I remember
Pictures. There actually there some pictures somewhere. I have a friend that did some of the photography that still has some of the pictures. So,
well,
yeah,
you should send me some of those. That sounds amazing.
what were those things before Tumblr, before everything else? Not Yahoo Spaces, but
Was it MySpace?
no, it was like a very early web hosting type of thing.
GeoCities?
Maybe GeoCities. I think there was GeoCities. There was a website that my friend had that I think might still exist, but some record of it somewhere. There's a GeoCities with me wearing rubber gloves, cleaning toilets.
Hotjanitor.com.
Hotjanitor.com. This is not right. Who built this thing? Oh wait, me. So, tell me about yourself. Now that I've joined your live stream, where did you grow up?
So I grew up in the 6, funny enough.
Oh.
Although actually, I would say that growing up in the 6 would actually be admitting that I was some kind of lowly peasant. I grew up in actual Toronto, so like none of the 6 bullshit, like the real actual Toronto. Not like Drake, who came from Forest Hill and went. I grew up, started from the bottom. Now we're here in one of the richest neighborhoods in Toronto.
And I was a childhood television star. No one ever knew that.
Yep, he was on Degrassi.
I'm so tough.
The thing is, I really should be looking at Drake and going, you know what? I could be famous too. I was also on Degrassi.
Were you also on Degrassi?
I'm in 2 episodes of Degrassi.
What? Have you ever admitted that on a live stream before?
I think I have, just to make fun of the fact that I was wearing orange pants. And my sig fig, no, is not in his orange pants. He's in black pants right now. That's kind of weird. I didn't notice I did that. I think I left my company, which they were all orange, and I was like, "Fuck you! I'm getting the orange out of my sig fig." So he's got black legs, but he doesn't normally have orange legs. So I think I was talking about that once, and went, I was actually on Degrassi with orange pants once.
Wow. Well, that's pretty amazing. I
Interesting.
was really hungover in Toronto once, and I
Mhm.
walked from I have no idea where all the way to the CN Tower. It was like a 5-hour walk, and I randomly came across Degrassi Street, and I was like, "Cool," and then realized that it was just a normal street with a name, and just kept walking. So. Yeah, it was a little bit of a downer, but hey, there's no school there. What's the deal?
I think the original school too was in Pickering, from not Degrassi the Next Generation.
Yeah.
I think it's actually in Pickering. So hate to disappoint even more, Sean.
Yeah, that's what you get for growing up in middle of nowhere Canada. You have all these dreams of going to the Big Smoke and seeing the kids from Degrassi Street. But hey, now that I've been on a live stream with someone from Degrassi, so
Yeah, 2 whole
my
episodes.
life is complete now.
I think I was band member number 1 or something along those lines. If I was credited, I doubt I was even credited.
Well, now we're gonna have to look you up.
You can actually look up the episode. I found it years ago and took some screenshots. I don't know where the fuck those went, but I got them somewhere.
Wow. Well, this is really eye-opening stuff.
Yeah, you're learning about my acting career as a child.
Yeah. I have been on nothing. I was an alternate for there was a TV show before. It was called Global. It was called STV, I think, in Saskatchewan.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Saskatchewan.
Oh,
little known fact. But yes, there was a show called The Great Spelling Bee, and it would be like elementary schools going off against each other in teams of 4. But I was the alternate. But nobody in my class got sick, so I got to just sit there and clap. So that's my claim to fame. Alternate on the spelling bee.
Well, that's just depressing, I guess.
Yeah. You can see it that way for sure. I could have been a contender.
I went from Joseph went from acting to acting out, which is accurate. You know what? I'm not even going to fault them for that one. Fair enough.
Oh, that's Patrick. Patrick from New Brunswick. He's watching us on the Twitch, I think. I guess I should actually look to see.
Verilug is watching us.
That's what you do, right? The president.
You know what? The former president of Toralug is currently on the stream. So
pretty famous stuff. Oh, look, there's a whole bunch of chat stuff.
Yeah, did you not have the chat open yet?
No, I was just going full screen because I just wanted to see how beautiful your build was going. GeoCities, Angel Fire. Yes, GeoCities. Maybe it was definitely GeoCities.
It's definitely GeoCities because that's what anybody. Sorry, I'm going to insult you a little bit. Anybody your age, if they're talking about early internet, it's GeoCities.
Back in the good old days when we used to carve our netscapes from stone.
When the internet wasn't scary.
Yeah.
Or was it scarier? We don't really know.
There was that time that I had CSIS come to my house. That was rough.
Okay. Why did CSIS come to your house?
Maybe I shouldn't talk about this on the internet.
Probably not.
Wait a minute. What part was I building? This is a lesson to all the kids out there, and I've told my son this because I said, don't do bad things because they'll come for you. This was before the good old internet days. there was a thing called a BBS system, a bulletin board system, and you would have a local modem in your house, and you'd have a 1200 baud or a 2400 baud modem, and you would dial up, and it would make that funny screechy sound that everyone goes, "Oh, look at the olden days." But you would dial up to like somebody's house down the street, and you would get access to basically just a message board, and every once in a while there you'd get into one that you could have actually like file access. So you could procure images that were created with ASCII code. So you could have like A's and B's and C's, and if you kind of squint, it'll look like the Hulk or like a naked person or something like that. And you'd be like, "Whoa, this is the modern world. I can't imagine anything better than this." And you could somehow get in, and there'd be like somebody that had access to the university network. And the university network was the beginnings of the internet, the backbones, the connectivities between MIT and the University of Regina and whatever. So there would be file sharing between these places. And so somebody with a BBS would have access to this, and they would get a copy of Wing Commander, a pirated version of it or something like that.
Okay.
But I was running a really old computer at probably a 286 at the time. And I remember there was... it was an Energizer Bunny screensaver, and you had to pay like $3.99 or $6.99 or $29.99. I should look it up, but I downloaded it, and my computer was so slow that it didn't even run it, so I deleted it. But the internet police at the time, CSIS, somehow tracked this file from wherever it was to this local BBS system. Then they got the names and numbers of everyone that had downloaded it. And I would have been like 12 or something like that. But I was at summer camp, and I got a phone call. It was my dad. My dad was like, "CSIS was just here. They wanted to go through your computer." And I was like, "Oh, goodness." So yes, and my dad's a very computer savvy guy, and he knew the whole thing. And he's like, "Well, I went through it with them, and I couldn't find this Energizer Bunny screensaver thing. So they said, we let you off with a warning." And I was like, "Okay, I guess I will not download any more screensavers." But what they didn't find was that I had a hidden folder, because in DOS you could just not even right click, just like shift click, and you could just go like hide folder. But so there was Wing Commander 1 and 2 and 3 on my hard drive, totally pirate version of it, but I had hidden them preemptively, but not even thinking. It was like, what if my dad found these things? But not if CSIS was actually going through my computer. But they were only looking for the screensaver.
Okay.
But so yes, this was 12 years old. CSIS was my house looking for pirated software. So I've never stolen anything ever since.
No?
No.
Didn't go to Loblaws and use the self-checkout and just not scan everything?
No, I scan everything diligently. Actually, I don't use the self-checkout because
Galen Weston.
I think that they should be giving me a discount if I check my own food out. So I actually go through the line and I stand there and I'm grumpy. They're the one person that's still working at the grocery store.
That's a good hill to die on.
Yeah.
But like I always say, it's the Garrett quote of it's a weird hill to die on, but at least you're dead.
Good point. At least you're dead.
Which is like during COVID, this stream got really out of hand, where I would really make fun of people who didn't want vaccines. And we won't get too much into making fun of those people today, but I would always say it's a weird hill to die on, but at least you're dead. But yeah, this stream of really while I was getting really trashed on it, and I was at home and I had nothing better to do, I was really like, fuck all those people. I want to go back to opening mouths and licking each other's tongues or whatever. So I got really grumpy with them. And then that's actually an interesting story, because similar to your CSIS story, some of them came to my house.
To come after you?
Yeah.
Wow, nice.
And one tried to call the cops on me. I implied that I hope she died quickly.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't threaten her. I just said, like, if you do get COVID, I hope it's quick for you because, you know. So, anyways, they came to my house. That was the whole thing.
Was it during a live stream? So then you could like bring your camera to the door and make it part of the show?
I wasn't even home. I think my mother-in-law, who I was living with at the time, just dealt with it.
Oh, like, it's just Joseph. He's just a funny guy.
Probably what she told people. And then I think she was just like, okay, time to go, or I'm going to call the cops, that kind of thing. And then I think they all left, and I never heard about it ever again. So I didn't really learn a lesson, but, you know, kind of learned a lesson because they showed up.
That's good. You kind of learned a lesson. That's important.
Yeah,
Four of these. I got to build.
Like to learn. That set is brutal, and I've built it 3 times at this point because I dropped it once. I dropped it while getting evicted, actually.
So you're saying don't get evicted?
Don't get evicted.
Good plan.
Because when I was trying to move it, I dropped it, and I was like really upset about it. Just like threw it all in a bin. I tried to sell it multiple times. Nobody bought it. And then eventually I opened up the bin and built it again. Only to break it again.
Ugh.
Which was fine. You know, it's a good build. I didn't mind building it over and over and over and over. Although a really depressing one that I did break 3 times now was the Death Star 2.
Yeah.
Like the UCS one that came out years ago. That is the weakest fucking Lego set of all time. You could touch the thing and it just explodes.
I've heard that it's exactly that. Pitiful.
Yeah.
Looks good on a shelf.
It's similar to the real Death Star, which, you know, they just poked a little hole in it and it exploded.
Poof. Well,
From
you
the
know.
base I'm building.
DS9's getting exciting, I think.
I don't actually know what episode she's on at this point. It's kind of that weird season when they're not on DS9 and the Dominion has DS9, which means that she's complaining about it because those are some of the worst seasons. So, but they did have that really cool episode where they're like all in New York as normal people. So like they're all out of the makeup, and I love watching that episode.
Right. I haven't thought of that. I watched it when it was on the air, and then that's it.
It's all on Netflix. Pretty good show. It's really good background, like noise, especially if you're working, because then like the second you're at like a lower point in your job, then you're like, oh, Deep Space Nine is on the background. I'll just give that a little bit more of a watch.
So, tell me about what else is up. You were mocking my Caucasian ability to speak Spanish last week.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Tortuga.
Good old Tortuga.
What do you think of the dreams line?
Honestly, it's a line.
It's a line.
I can't really say it's like good or bad. I would say it feels like a line that's gonna get canceled early.
Which is a shame. I think it's, well, at least there's no, at least as far as I can tell, there's no like digital aspect. Like Lego being the all-powerful, wonderful creature that it is, really doesn't support their digital interface as well. Like,
no.
You'd think that they would have the capacity to just leave a server running or leave like an app functional. But I was really excited to get some hidden side stuff assembled and then installed it and side loaded a bunch of old apps because you can't even get the app anymore.
Really?
And nothing. So at least Dreams doesn't have that going against it, I guess.
That's wild that they'd take away the server support this soon.
Well, yeah, and what was the video? I think it might still function, but Boost, holy cow! My local Toys R Us still has the Droid building boost sets on the shelf for full price, $259.99.
Hey,
And
I've
it
got
has
one of those on my
7 of
shelf
them.
for full price.
Yeah, I have one too, and I actually really liked it. But my kid wanted to build it somewhat recently, and you can't get the app, and you can't actually even just normally sideload it. You have to get like an installer to get it to work. And but yeah, there's no instructions in the box at all. So you
Oh,
get like a 2-page pamphlet that says this is how you download it. So there's poor old ladies going to Toys R Us in Halifax buying this $250 set, and then the kids get it home and there's no way to build it. So I talked to the manager at Toys R Us and said, I will buy all of these as long as you give me like 75% off. Like, and I will not come and complain because there's no instructions in the box.
yeah, I'm happy I didn't delete it. The other day I was clearing out apps, and I'm happy to confirm that I still have the Lego Boost app on my phone.
Thank goodness. You can there's some Lego app that I think you can download instructions through, and there's functionality of you can control R2D2 using it, but you can't use either of the other models, and there's no building instructions. You can only control them. So it's like you have to have them built and set up and ready to go. Download the other app, whatever, Lego Connect or something like that. And
So it looks like it's Lego powered up.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And yeah, you can control R2 here. Well, that's licensed noises. We should not play on a live stream. We don't want to get the MCA takedown. Well, yeah, you can definitely control R2. Yeah, there's no instructions. That's kind of wild.
Yeah. So if someone from Lego was listening, which sure they aren't.
What's funny is there is actually a Lego designer who sometimes watches this show.
Well,
which is shocking, but I don't think he does anything like that. So he couldn't even probably tell somebody. Okay, what is the code on the Droid Builder set? I'm going to find out. Can we get instructions? 75253.
This is why everyone's joined the stream tonight. They want to find out what's the deal with Boost.
Yeah, so the only way to get the Boost instructions is apparently through the Lego Building app, it looks like. Like, I've got them. I'm looking at them now. That's wild, though, that, they got rid of the app.
Yeah, and the app is really it's step by step, and it's like, oh, that's a perfect sticker placement right there. Yeah, it's like you unlock a bunch of different levels and you expand your robot and you add parts, and it's like a nice process. My son loved it. But yeah, it's weird that they would just how hard can it be to just leave something functional? Like, you pay Android, whatever. Like, I would think Lego has enough money that they can just leave it running. But
yeah, that's kind of nuts. That doesn't really make sense, especially for their business model. Like, they're supposed to be known as the toy that lasts forever, pretty much.
Exactly. Yeah. But yes, one of my connections, who actually is living in Ontario now, he was working for Lego for the Mindstorms team, and then they canceled Mindstorms, and then he left Lego in a disappointed moment, which is understandable. But yeah, he also he basically recommended there's a Python software that you can install, and you can actually update the firmware of the Boost stuff, but you still can't get the instructions, right? So you can use it to program stuff, but I only where's my other minifig?
Actually, I hate when they do not include the instructions in the box. That's my old man hill to die on.
Well, you're gonna die on a hill. At least you'll be dead. Well, yeah, that was. I built a set recently, and it went to commercial. I made 50 sets, and I'm making 100 more of them. And that was an option. I was like, could I just stick a QR code, and then they get a PDF, and then you build it with a laptop or a phone or something? And it just kind of made my stomach churn of yes, okay, I can save a couple dollars, or I can get nice instructions printed. And I got nice instructions printed, and they look like $1 million. So And some kid's going to use it once, build it, put it on a shelf, and throw the instructions away or lose them. But and then there'll be no way to build it because they'll lose their paper instructions. But yeah, I really liked having something done with paper instructions. So.
Yeah, that must be a really cool feeling. Because like recently, Graham had a set that he sent out. I probably can't mention the brand name that he sent it to, but it was all digital the way they did the instructions for like a mini version of it that they sent to their employees.
Cool.
Which was funny because then when we went to build it, we didn't have the right parts. So it's a good thing we didn't print those instructions because that would have been an embarrassing mistake.
Well,
I remember him like going, he's like, oh, we got our friend Eric who actually signed that Coliseum to design it and like put in the work and like I trust what Eric does. It's gonna be great. And then we were building like a test one and went, oh shit, we shouldn't have trusted Eric this time. Although
Handsome
like
Eric, yep.
to shit on Mr. Handsome Eric a little bit. He spelt my name wrong in the Bricks and the Six program. So I'm a little salty with Eric.
Oh, geez. Who's your... Well, Patrick, who's from New Brunswick on the chat right now, he's a really great copy editor. So if you need somebody to review your catalog for next year, he's your guy.
Honestly, we should just make the catalog earlier than 3 days before the show starts.
That might be good as well.
I think that was the real note that I have for everybody else. Well, like I have a lot of notes because, at the end of planning that convention, I kind of did every single little thing that we needed to get done before the show. And like it kind of stemmed from the fact that we booked that location for Bricks and the Six in like 2020.
Yeah.
And it like one location backfired, so we had to book that one. We thought we were going to come back, and then we didn't come back. So I kind of like hopped on to that team a little later in the process and then had to clean up all the fucking mess from basically COVID.
Right.
So I'm really excited for this year where from the ground floor, I'm kind of like more involved and can actually help make things work better when we're on site.
Yeah, and yeah, coming from my side, I was oblivious to anything that was awkward. Like I know that that is whenever being a creator, being responsible, being that person that put in all that effort, and then their name is spelled wrong in the catalog, that that eats at you, right? But coming at it from a participant point of view, I think everything was smooth and everyone seemed, happy and like I just imagined, I didn't know what the organizational structure was. Graham seemed very relaxed the whole time. I'd never really met Graham before. I'd talked to him online before. He's very friendly online. But seeing him in person, he was just like not stressed. Where I'm having an event in 2 weeks. Explosion! I'm as stressed as I can be, but I have zero support team. Well, okay, I have a few people that have offered to put some hands in and stuff, but everything's on my shoulders right now. Everything's in my credit card and all that stuff. But I'm not doing it in, the 6th or the 7th, 6th. So,
well, with Graham, that's an act. He was so stressed before the event, and like my involvement in everything really made sure that everything went smoothly. Like, I'm so glad to hear you say that we didn't notice anything go wrong because to me, I'm like, yeah, good thing you didn't fucking notice anything going wrong because that was me. That was me cleaning up some stuff and making sure that, loot bags were ready. The mosaic we promised our sponsors was ready, like shit like that. Yeah. So I'm really glad to hear that the attendees were like, yeah, it seemed great. Graham didn't even seem stressed. And I'm sitting here like, yeah, we all seemed great. I'm very happy about that.
Well, there you go. You did a great job. And yeah, it definitely seemed like you were appreciated. Definitely in the closing ceremony, you were held up aloft and you were danced around, and there was that fire pit thing that they sacrificed all those children to you. It was really good.
Yeah.
So that was deserved. But Yeah, I don't know. That was really exciting. And I guess you mentioned that there's something next year, but I haven't heard anything official.
Oh no, there won't be anything official yet, but so far, based on everything that I knew post event, during event, it didn't seem like the chances were very high of this happening again next year. But right the second, it's a little preemptive to say things are looking good.
Things are looking good. Good. The good looking is good. Yeah, I can imagine it being a super stressful thing to take on. And yeah, I haven't even done my event, and I'm like, I'd love to have a successful event. My event was like, hey, I just signed up to go to Bricks in the Six. You know what Halifax needs? Our own convention. The next day, I had a venue booked and a bunch of tables booked. Like, it was like a month and a half of in advance notice. So I've got no special guests, no event programming, no Lego Masters people. Everyone wants to come. They're like, oh yeah, I'll totally come. I love the Maritimes. I've always wanted to come. When is it? Next month? No, sorry, maybe next year. So, but that's okay because I'm going to learn. I'm going to make a lot of mistakes, and then hopefully next year, potentially, I will have another thing, and then see what happens then. But I need a Joseph to fix all my fuck ups. So
You know what? I don't have a job right now, so if you need a Joseph, we can talk a little more offline about that. I could see what I can do about that.
I will think about that. If I had money, I think that's what we need. If you can, it's like being in a I used to work for art galleries and artist run centers and stuff. And basically my number one job was getting funding to pay myself.
Yeah.
And the second job was to have the, center run properly and have, people looked after and stuff done. But yeah, number one was like, okay, we need to write grants so you can get paid. That's your new number one job. So I was like, oh, cool.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm a little easier than that. You don't really need grants. You don't need to pay me. You just need to get me places. That's the main financial issue.
Get you places.
Yeah. I just need to be in Halifax. Beyond that, pretty easy.
Well, we will keep this conversation going. But yeah, it's an interesting thing, and I'll see how it goes. At the same time, I would love to volunteer for Bricks in the Six. I know that I'm not in Toronto, but if you need any skill sets, so that's for anything that I can help to make your life easier, Graham's life easier. Then I think
we're definitely going to be looking more into that kind of thing for next year, because like I mentioned, it's kind of less like we've been planning this for 3 years, and then it finally happens. So there's a couple things that like get left behind while planning that kind of thing. But for this time, we'll definitely be looking more at like people who can help us do some stuff, like Patrick doing copy editing, or we have another person who also does copy editing. We can get people to really like look over stuff a little more, make sure that our social media approach is a little more clear. Yeah. Because for the most part, that's social media. That's all me.
Yeah.
There's a bit of Graham and a bit of Simon where they kind of like give advice on posts. Although it's funny because next year I'm gonna get a lot less advice on posts from them, because like I could have done a lot more social media if I just didn't bother asking them. They're very opinionated about things, so there's that. Yeah. And then I feel like a main thing that I wasn't ready for was it's really for the public. You're not trying to promote this to AFOLs. AFOLs are coming regardless. You throw a convention and you're going to get, half of the fucking AFOL convention that loves going to conventions.
Yeah.
It's about getting the public in the doors. And what I found was, instead of making good memes, like Graham and Simon kind of suggested, I started making bad memes. And the more the worse your meme is, the more you get engagement. Like, make your memes wrong is my advice for all social media managers. If you do it right, it's funny. People see it and they're like, "Oh, look, they got the meme right." Get the meme wrong. Make it make no real sense with the actual meme. That's my advice. And that's what I'm going to do next year. I'm going to make the memes even worse.
Well, that's good advice.
But maybe that works in Toronto. I don't know about Halifax.
I don't know about Halifax either. I find I'm throwing, and this seems to be my way of doing everything. I just throw everything at the wall and see how it works. Like I have had 4 or 5 main, promotional images, and they're completely different from one another. I'm kind of go for this like confusion tactic, and maybe these people will like this thing, and maybe this person will like. Then this is the newest one. This crazy. Where did I steal that font from? Fortnite. So the Bricksplosion font is just Fortnite. So I was like, I'm going to get the Fortnite kids. They're going to see this, and then there's going to be a lobster, and then there's going to be, fishermen coming, or whatever, right? So we'll see how well my marketing works. It could be 10 people show up, or it could be like I've had a few people ask, like, what's the maximum? What's the fire capacity? What's the capacity of the venue? And the venue that I booked is a 6-lane curling rink. It's bigger than this Bricks in the Six venue. Technically, I think my venue is going to be the biggest Lego convention in Canada. It's gigantic, but are we allowed to have 5,000 people in there? I don't know. Probably not, because there's probably only one exit. But these are things that I didn't really think to look at, and having the timed participation thing that the Bricks in the Six had, and also Brick Universe has the same thing, where Brick Universe has 3 settings basically, and you buy from 9 to 11 or 1 to 3 or 3 to 5 or whatever the time is. These are all things that I was like, no, and I don't think we're going to get that many people, so do I need to worry about that? But now I'm like, maybe I should have worried about that. But we'll see. If I actually have to turn people down at the door, I think that'll mean that it's a success. So,
do you have like online ticketing? Can people buy a ticket in advance?
No, because I didn't think. Well, one, I didn't know how I would go about that because I'm stupid and I only booked this a couple months before the actual event.
Okay.
But after talking to you guys and hearing the conversations about that, where it's like you sell 1,000 seat tickets, but 800 people show up, so it's like you've earned 20% on top of the people that actually showed up. Just people
exactly.
So that, for next year, definitely, I think I will look into that. So yes, these are all things that I was like, I'm going to go to Bricks in the Six and see how a real convention's run. And then I'm going to learn. And then next year, maybe it'll be a glowing success.
Well, I'm happy to offer any advice you may need before your event comes up. It's not too late to set up the ticketing already. Like you've got time still. Let's say obviously like having it months in advance is nice because we kind of knew we were working with numbers that might end up working out.
Yeah.
And it's actually, I can report that Bricks in the Six did earn a profit this year.
Hooray!
Now, if we actually paid me or Graham, that gets a little more into question, but
yeah,
let's not worry too much about that. I think we worked it out. We each earned $1 per hour we worked.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, just $1.
Yeah, I think that's basically what I'm earning from this the set that I just assembled. I did the town clock from Halifax. It's a local monument, and after all the surprise like brokerage fees to order parts from Bricklink from Hungary or from Germany, all these strange, here's an extra $90 that you didn't expect to pay. I eat up all of my possibility for profit. So yes, put in at least an hour or 2 per set, and I might have I'm splitting basically $1 between 3 entities. So I'm giving a chunk of the money to Marilug, the Maritime Lego User Group, because I don't know, we need to buy a sign at some point. So Somebody
sorry.
needs to get
You're,
money.
just to like help you out with Arlug status in the future. You mean you're donating the money to Marilug to get?
I'm donating the money to Marilug.
There you go.
Yes, but it'll be in the end. It'll be like $25 donations.
Also, I hate to break it to you, if you sold a commission, you cannot take part in Toralug's lug bulk.
Sold a commission.
Yeah, that's a commissioned piece. You technically can't take part in Toralug's lug bulk now.
But it was never a commissioned project. It was like a passion project.
Oh, okay. We can talk later about this, but I
We'll
can
talk more
explain the little silly details because, like you probably heard, the LEGO group changed the rules on lug bulk. Anybody who makes any commissions, blah blah blah, gets paid for them. They can't take part in lug bulk. How does LEGO know that you didn't use their parts in the lug bulk to make your commission?
But I only buy medium azure from lug bulk, so that's my. None of my commission builds are made of medium azure. But yeah, that's interesting. These are all things that we don't know because we don't have status because LEGO won't give us status, so we can't find out this information. So it's like a rat eating its own tail. Snake eating its own tail?
I honestly wouldn't. Yeah, snake eating its own tail. The Ouroboros. Ouroboros is what I always call it to be funny, but that's wrong.
Cerebus?
Cerebellarbabar. But yeah, I feel like most lugs are going to be Cerberus. Most lugs are going to be offloaded real soon, probably.
Yes.
It doesn't sound good in that community.
No. Yeah, I did the math. It was really interesting. I did go to the Lego Land site and looked at all the other lugs across Canada and how many events that they've done. And I won't speak of anybody in particular, but we, as Marilug, did 25 events in the last 12 months. And these are not 25 small events. Maybe there's like 5 or 6 small events in there, but this was, big conventions once or twice a month, big train shows once or twice a month. The Citadel thing was a huge build. The space build. So yeah, I think we did a really good job after having 0 events for basically 2 or 3 years during COVID and all that jazz. But 25 events is a respectable number. So I'm quite proud of the group that we have, and I wish we had more active members as usual. But yeah,
it's hard to get people to take part. That's kind of like what we've noticed with a lot, Toralug stuff. And like we have core people who are very active, and that's kind of, I feel like what most lugs should be focusing on is just who's extremely active and why. And then you can find like more members who are active like that.
Yeah, that is definitely a challenge. Yeah, and we have a pretty strict rules, and I think that came from not strict rules. We rewrote the bylaws in Marilug because I don't think we had bylaws before now. But about a year ago, and it is in our rules that you pay the membership fee and you have to actually participate in an event. And that participation has to meet a certain threshold, like, attend an event and sit there and entertain the crowds for a half a day, or bring a mock to an event once a year. Like it's pretty low threshold, but we still have that threshold. And there's still people that, have paid their fees, but they won't participate. And you're like, we're trying to do events near every main city so we, people can't complain that we're not. And we're the Maritimes. We have New Brunswick, PEI, Nova Scotia. It would be awesome if we were all an hour or 2 away from each other, but usually, like, Patrick is effectively 5 hours away from me, and then he has to drive 5 hours back after doing an event. So he's often sleeping in my basement after an event, which is fine. But so I can see some excuse that way of like, well, it is a 10-hour trip for me to participate in this thing. But we also try to do events in every major city, so you're usually within 2 hours of something. It's hard to, I guess, in my head, it's hard to, like, how can people not want to participate when we try to put events everywhere? So, but People find a reason. They'll not want to do it one way or the other.
Always, man. That's always what happens. Like, getting people to just take part is always that kind of fight. Even if you put events near them, and like it's weird to me because we have people in Kitchener, Waterloo, and they're an hour from Toronto, but they're still at like a ton of events. So I don't know what the secret sauce is. Like, we try to incentivize people by being like, look, it adds to your lug score. You need to attend at least one event to even take part in the lug kind of shit. But like, in the end, it's not really, doesn't change anything. You have that core group that makes mocks, and they'll show up to everything, and then you just have a ton of other people who are just like hanger-ons.
Yeah. Oh.
But like, sometimes I find Torlug is even too active. Like, our Discord is always popping off.
Yeah.
Which I find annoying because like we have some people in there who they're always talking, and then we have an event and they're not there. And I'm wondering, like, where the fuck are you? You're so active in Discord, but the second we're in person, you're gone.
Yeah. Which is weird. Well, I guess some people just don't like real interaction. They like, well, I don't know what real interaction is anymore. Maybe Discord is the most real interaction, but yeah, maybe they just don't like breathing other people's air.
That might be it. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of breathing other people's air, to be honest.
What are you drinking tonight? Gin? You seem to be a gin connoisseur.
I actually have, what is this? It's a Sucking Lemons. It's like a vodka drink. I'm kind of trying to drink a little less. And I find like having a can in the house is a lot easier than like buying a big bottle of vodka.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, like, I see a big bottle of vodka and I'm like, yeah, that could be like a good Saturday.
I could drink that tonight.
Yeah, like that kind of shit. But like with the cans, I feel like it's a little more like, well, I could have one can and then, that's it, whatever.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's kind of funny because I know you weren't at Brickworld, but if you were there, I got hammered every single day. And I made a bit of an ass of myself in front of, quite large amount of the LEGO community. Which, I made up a little bit for by building that giant Nerdly. And, like, doing kind of what I've been doing with Bricks in the Six. So, like, alcohol-wise, I've been a little more chill with it.
Well, it's good to be aware, I guess. If you kept doing it and you weren't aware, then I guess that's what friends are for.
Yeah,
Hey,
exactly.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm sure I've done a lot of wild and crazy things.
Yeah, like.
But you've got good energy, and I can see how that can spill over when you had a bottle of vodka.
Yeah. Like, the thing is, like, I can handle my booze. I don't know what was going on during Brickworld. Like, I did recently receive some, like, bad life news during that as well, so maybe that was it.
Right.
Who knows? But yeah, I'm trying to repair my image a little with certain people that I saw at Brickworld.
Well,
which, are you going to come to Brickworld next year?
I will do my best. Everyone said it's the place to be, but everyone also said it's like Toronto, but 10 times larger. So, but yeah, I was actually really close to going this year by chance, and it probably, I don't think, would have been as good of an experience if I hadn't come to Bricks in the Six first. Oh, poor Patrick had a hangover. I think I had a hangover every day, but yeah, I think if I went to Bricks, or if I went to Brickworld, I wouldn't have had I would think that it being so huge that I wouldn't have an automatic like the camaraderie. Like Bricks in the Six, I actually got to have one-on-one conversations with people a lot. So it was a good introduction. But I think that Brickworld seems to be like, now that I know people, I could, it would feel comfortable. So
it's funny you say that, but like at Brickworld, you do get a lot of that one-on-one. Like it's very similar to Bricks in the Six in that way. And like you'll find kind of like your crowd and people that you already know, and then meet a ton new people. It's really nice. Well,
I think we're going to do our best. My friend Zachary Steinman, who everyone seems to know Zachary from his Instagram, Steinman Zachary. He builds a lot of geometric cubes and things. He was really pushing to go to Chicago this year, except I was just finishing a family vacation, so I would have had to leave my family in the airport in Toronto and then fly down to Chicago while they flew the rest of the way home. So I said, well, maybe not this time. But yeah, he ended up not going, and I think we both regret that. Because he had, when you see the pictures and the stuff that we missed out on, yeah, it's that FOMO, right?
I would honestly say like any year you first go is going to be really great, and then the second you're there once, you'll come every year.
Yeah.
So like, don't worry when you start. Honestly, it might be better to start a little later with it, because then like you're not going to always want to go to Brickworld.
Yeah.
Like I had a terrible time at Brickworld. I fucking hated every moment of it. I got so drunk and acted so stupid, but I can't wait to go back next year.
Right.
And I guess in my case, I have to go and like be a good boy and behave really well and let people know that I'm not a complete piece of shit. just a little bit of one. And I'm still excited to do that because it was so much fucking fun.
Right.
Like I'm literally going and eating some humble fucking pie, and I can't wait to do it.
Well,
Patrick, I wouldn't say that it's too corporate either. Like it is big and it pays for itself, but it's really not corporate. It still has the same small feel of Bricks in the Six, despite being huge.
But how huge is it? Everyone, it's like, yes, 10 times the size, 10 times the number of people. Is there, I don't know, is there bad stuff there?
I wouldn't say so. Like, obviously, there's always going to be somebody who kind of has a fit just because it's much bigger. There's bigger chances of that. But, like, in the end, a lot of the people like us end up, in the lobby having beers together. And, like, you really meet a ton of people that, like, you've probably been interacting with them online for years. And then suddenly they're there in person.
Yeah. Well, that's what I found. Toronto was like, I was... and I'm really horrible at names normally, but it was faces, and I was like, "You're so and so." Oh, geez! And then I'm like realizing that I just like, what did I say in the last minute to make myself look like an idiot? But yeah, it wasn't. It was just, I'm just surprised how nice everyone is. Like, I don't know. I expected somebody to be like better than everyone else, walking around like on a cloud going, don't bother me, I'm on Lego Masters or whatever. But nobody was like that. At least to me, as a goofball, with a lobster there. So
I love that lobster. That's a good build.
I wanted to win best lobster prize.
That would be a funny prize to have just for one person.
Yeah. I'm game. I'll bring back a lobster every year to win that prize. People are going to start competing with me to win best lobster.
Honestly, that might be something good to do, just because as it is, we actually ixnayed the awards about like 2 hours before we gave them out.
Were there awards?
there were going to be awards, and we got rid of them mainly because we couldn't even find them. And then we did find them, and then we all kind of realized that like people don't really care that much for the awards. Some of the earlier cons that like started with the awards, like they're now stuck having to judge like 300 different builds in a night.
Yeah.
And I think we all kind of realized like if this con keeps getting bigger and bigger, we don't want to do that. So the awards got pretty much canceled like I said, like maybe 2 hours before they even went out.
Wow. I had no idea. Best lobster award going to somebody else this year.
We should make best lobster award just because it's stupid. But like I think that's one of those things that I'd have to give out myself, and it couldn't be related to the con.
Right.
So maybe you should let other people know if they're coming to Bricks in the Six next year, when it possibly happens, they should bring a lobster build.
Yeah.
And Sean, I will give you the honorary first one because you just inspired this whole idea.
That's what I'm here for. I'm full of ideas.
And because that lobster's fucking awesome. That's a really good build.
Well, thank you. It was a lot of fun. And it really only got good right at the last minute. I was stressing out. I didn't sleep for a week before because I was like, those claws, I got to fix the claws.
I love the tail. You did a really good job on. Use those like Jedi Starfighter flaps on the back.
Yeah.
I really like that piece. And like, I rarely see it get used really well. So like, it was super cool to fucking actually see it get used somewhere that wasn't just on the flaps of a starship.
Right. Well, the fact that you actually noticed that, I'm really happy. You've made my day. If only I had the lobster somewhere nearby. It's just upstairs right now. It's sitting on the dinner table.
I'm very good at pointing out the useless little fun facts of which piece came from where. Like, I think it's why Graham tolerates me in his basement quite a bit, because he goes, where did this piece come from? I'm like, oh, I know that piece. That's from a Ninjago set or whatever the fuck. Mm-hmm. He's like, why do you know all that? I'm like, I really don't know.
Well, there's been a number of people like that in my, like, I just have pieces, and I really, I never really cared for the sets until, like, when I was a child, but then everything else, it was just, like, it became bulk for me as a child early on, and I sorted by color, and for years, I've just built by, like, monochromatic builds I love. Like, I don't know, where's the one that I have? My white space truck, but like, I just love, and it's got a big claw on it. Like, I just love digging into a pile, and I really have no idea where anything came from. I build it once and then tear it apart. Though the stuff on my shelf now, I've got some stuff that I really like, but I don't know. Like, I'm not a specialist, but there are some really interesting people that they'll come to my house and dig through my bulk with me and just, oh, this is the thing from the thing. And I'm like, you want it? Okay, you can have it. So, because I don't know what I'm going to do with it right now. Sean and I are opposites. Patrick knows everything. But Nico is one of our members from Moncton, and he came over and I tricked him into sorting some bulk for me. And yeah, he was like, everything. It was like, oh, this is from the window from the set, and it is this. And I was like, okay, do you want it? So I gave him a lot of stuff that day, mostly for coming over and randomly sorting my stuff. How's your build going? I haven't actually paid much attention to it.
I'm on bag. Shit, I actually don't know. I'm on bag 9.
I'm still on bag 1.
Oh, yours is a little bigger than mine.
But I got like a this, and I got like a this thing. It's all technique. I'm not really that good at too many colors.
Yeah, Technic is wild. I kind of like hate how much it's in Lego now, but I'm kind of okay with it because it's really useful to make things a lot stronger.
Yeah.
Oh, it comes with an extra medal. You know who's finally getting his medal? Chewie.
Nice.
Oh, it doesn't fit on the minifigure at all. So
Poor Chewie. You just get to
Chewie
hold
never
it,
gets his
Chewie.
medal. Yeah, he'll get to hold it. I like how that is a fun fact from Star Wars, where the only reason it's not on Chewie is the like band for it wasn't big enough to fit over the costume, and they didn't have time to fix it.
Poor.
Ooh, they have Luke in a bright light yellow instead of a yellow coat from this scene.
Bright light yellow.
Bright
Not
light
neon yellow.
No, that's a different color altogether. It's bright light yellow. See this one?
Oh yeah.
Funny enough, I think this may be one of the first Star Wars figures to actually have that as a color on it. Oh no, Bosk from I think it was a 2014 Battle Pack. 2015 Battle Pack actually had the same color. I lied to you. Sorry, Sean.
I think I've got that battle pack for sale right now.
Ooh. I'm sure it's worth way too much money now. It's a really good Battle Pack.
The box is damaged, but it's sealed. I think it's $60 maybe.
Jeez, yeah. I'm sure like the 4 Lawn wouldn't be worth much, and the IG-88 wouldn't be worth anything, but the Bosk is definitely worth something still.
Yeah.
And I think there's Boba in that set, right?
I can't remember. I just looked at it yesterday.
I think he's the 4th one in there. I don't know. Boba's recently actually went up a lot in price. I was listing a white Boba and realized they were $50.
$50.
Yeah. Like the 2nd edition white Boba, not the 1st edition.
Oh, right.
Probably like $500 at this point. Who knows? I'm glad that I bought mine. I put it in its case and then I never looked at it again.
So, is it true that you have every Star Wars set ever in existence?
Yep. I own every single Star Wars set that's ever been released.
Wow. Even the special one from San Diego Comic-Con with the boogers in it? Or the one with the thing? I don't know.
I mean, I do have a lot of the weirder San Diego Comic-Con ones, but the problem with a lot of those sets is like you're paying for cardboard.
Yeah.
So a lot of them, it's just I looked up the parts, ordered the parts, and built the thing.
Right.
And like some people don't consider that as being complete, but I do, so whatever. Like I think I have the Space Slug with the Millennium Falcon escaping, and that's like from one of the original San Diego Comic-Con ones.
Right. Yeah.
There's nothing special about that set. You can just build it out of basic parts. Then there's other ones that are like exclusive that like don't have as basic parts. There's some printed parts, and those are the ones that I would have put the effort in and bought the real set.
Right. What was the red stormtrooper head? The helmet? Was it like the?
Where is it?
Because I think that's just common parts too, isn't it?
Yep. That's just completely common parts. I don't think I have it up here right now, actually. I have the Darth Vader over here. I have the exclusive Darth Vader behind Cloud City. Let me just move this shitty set out of the way.
Let's move Cloud City out of the way.
Yeah, it's just, it's in the way. So there's the exclusive Darth Vader that came out a while ago.
That's nice.
It's pretty sweet.
So, in that you've been doing this specifically live stream for like 9 years, has most of this been just you collecting over time and being fastidious, or did you go through a period where you're like, I came into some money because of a car accident, I'm going to buy everything that I've always wanted?
It's kind of been like a bit of work over the years, and then also just a lot of like, there was a very good time for me where I was buying a lot of Lego when I was in university. Like I had a really good job and I was buying a shit ton of Star Wars Lego and like really built up a lot of it. And then over the years, I've been kind of like waiting around looking for certain sets to show up cheaper. It was, the way I would put it, it was a long haul for a long time where I was just like trying to get everything cheap. And then when I was at like 20 sets left, I was like, fuck it, let's buy the rest.
Right.
So that's kind of how it ended up happening. And I picked a really good time because it was like a couple of years before COVID, and that shit really made every set go up a lot.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think the drive for Lego definitely went through the roof. When people suddenly realized that they couldn't go outside and they're like, oh, that thing that I liked so much when I was a child, I can do it all day, every day.
And it's funny too, because like it right now the secondary market has kind of slowed down because of that big jump from COVID. And we're all kind of just dealing with that, I guess.
Yeah.
But overall, I feel like I've had kind of the same level of sales that I used to have. It's just people are being, like, honestly, they're spending a lot more in big chunks.
Yeah. And you've got a huge store. Like I've got the second largest store east of Montreal, but it's only 150,000 parts, and I don't have sets. I don't have, like, I have a couple minifigures, sure, maybe like 100, but they're nothing special. But I'm specializing in the worst business of just new unclutched virgin parts. I've got a lot of friends that do mocks that they didn't want to have used Lego. They wanted quality parts. They wanted nice stuff. So I was like, yeah, I can do that. And then I can just inventory my own stuff. But like my business is like almost intentionally slow. Like I don't want to be packing orders every night for 4 or 5 hours. But when I get orders, they're often $200 or $300 of parts. So it's like 50 of these and 100 of those. And I've got into the right crowds, I think, of mock makers that want virgin parts. So
that's good. That's a really good business model to have, to be honest. Like just buying the new sets it's great money.
Mm-hmm.
And it's consistent if you stick with it year over year.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I've done for a long time, but I also get a lot of like used sets. I buy a lot of big lots from people and I kind of split it up into stuff that makes more sense to the average collector.
Yeah.
And the problem was I started getting more and more into mocking. So there's a lot of stuff where I'll be like, oh, that set's $20. Fuck that. I'll keep the parts. I'll build some shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I seem to put it into the store, and then like with the lobster, I just went in and I was like, okay, I need as much dark red as I can. So I just put it all in my stock room and then pulled it off to the side. And now that I've finished it, I'm basically going back in to see what I used and then just subtracting that from my store inventory. So, yeah, it's like I can find it easier. And yeah, I don't sort my pieces very smartly. I love sorting by color. I'm one of those, and it's just bin of red. And it takes me forever to find anything, but that's also how I build things like that lobster, where I'm just like, give me the dark red. I'm every single piece of dark red that I want, and I will make it work. And it looks different than people that design like knowing that they can get every part they want. I just design based on what I pick up next, kind of thing. Like it's a weird free building. It's weird.
Which is funny because I feel like, to insult both of us, because I also free build quite a bit without really checking for parts. I feel like a lot of the people who plan more and order the parts, they build a lot better mocks. And I wish I could get there because, like you, I'm not going to ever get there. I love free building. I love just grabbing a bunch of parts and seeing what I can do with it.
Yeah.
which sucks because then we have like people like Simon who build sets that are distinctly planned out, that he can order pieces that he knows he can get, and build some crazy fucking shit.
Yeah.
So I'm a little jealous of that skill, but like free building I do all the time. My parts in my store are not safe from that in any way.
Yeah.
Like I have mine sorted by, so I'll just pull out one of my bins. I sort like this. I have a little bin, it says light bluish gray. This is the fourth one. So if somebody orders a part in here, it'll say 4E. So each little cubby inside here is a different letter. So I can pack very large orders very quickly because I just go in order of each piece that comes from it. I pull it off the shelf, pull out the piece, throw it in the bucket. Once I finish with the color, I'll bag it, or I'll bag distinctly based on different pieces, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I can pack orders very quickly, but that also means that it's very unsafe when I need to build something and steal from them.
Anything you want to steal, you can.
Yeah, that's kind of the issue with my mocks. Look at that. Some big Technic pieces.
Yep. It's a probe droid or something. I don't remember this being part of a Star Destroyer.
It goes way up its butt. You put that piece of the Star Destroyer way up its butt.
Way up its butt. So, you brought up being ex-president of Toralug. You work with Graham in a assistant role. What is the Lego universe? What is your what's your dream result? What's your 5-year plan? You're currently unemployed. You're building Lego every day. What's your goal?
Well, this year I'm hoping to get on season 5 of Lego Masters.
Ooh.
I've already been talking to one of their casting producers, so hopefully that is a good sign. The one from last year is actually not working on this year, so that was pretty annoying because I emailed her being like, hey, you working on Lego again? I'm down, my dude. So hopefully that will be coming this year, but, you know, I'm also a Lego Masters Season 4 failed applicant. So,
me too.
So maybe we'll be adding Season 5 to that.
Yeah, it was an interesting process. Did you read my write-up on the Discord?
I did not.
Well, yes. Last night I was telling all the tales of and I actually published the video that we submitted. My buddy and I did. I was on 2 different application teams, and the first one is Zachary Steinman again. He just couldn't care for the character, the hamming it up, the like, what kind of character are we going to create? What kind of relationship is this? And that's a difficult part of the show, of the application process, because you want to go in there with like, oh yeah, I'm a doctor and you're a doctor, or I'm a firefighter and you're a firefighter. Or like, we were just 2 buddies that, you know, could build Lego pretty well, and it was a struggle to try and find that character that they wanted us, and they kept like pulling these like, oh, what about this? What about that? And we're like, meh. So yeah, he pulled out of that process just because he didn't want to be going through that. But then another friend reached out, and, you know, it was the same kind of thing, but we were maybe easier going. Like, we were just, you know, it's exactly the problem that, you know, a lot of people point out. It's the middle-aged, bald, overweight white man syndrome. And there were 2 of us, and we were 2 bald Haligonians, and that was our team name. So for the first time, it's on the Toralug Discord. I shared the video that we sent in on the 2nd or 3rd challenge, whatever it was, 2nd challenge, where we built something and sent something in. And it's so cheeseball, and it was such a fun process, though, of just like getting hyped up and getting busy. And this was right at the end of the cutoff. Like, the Monday was the next, like, they were basically going to fly us down the week later. But yes, we didn't get the phone call on the day that we were expected to, so we just knew that we weren't in. And but yeah, it was an interesting process, and it made me understand the show a lot more. And talking to the folks from the show that were in Toronto, it reaffirmed everything. They definitely seemed to have a good time, and they all said that they would do it again. But they also were very like just honest about like the production and the scheduling, and the you're sitting in you're hurrying up to wait, and it's just being on a show. You're a tool in a show. But I still think it would be fun to explore. But yeah, it was a really interesting process. But yeah, two applications last year. I don't think. I don't know if but what's your plan? Is it your darling wife, or what's your shtick? What's your thing?
Yeah, it was just me and my wife. We were just gonna build. She's like a less experienced builder, but we were kind of banking on the whole like she's a woman and she's kind of cute, and also like I am a technically mixed race man. So there's like we're kind of banking on that stuff, and
technically mixed race man.
Well, like I am.
You are. So you're not technically. You are. You don't have to. Anyway, but yeah.
Like I've spent my whole life having to pretend that I'm just white, so I get uncomfortable with saying it some days, which is weird because normally I'm pretty outspoken about it.
I am just white. You can tell by the glare. That's why I wear a hat on the street, because my whiteness is so bright.
But you actually like had to do the work to get on Lego Masters. I'm a little jealous of that, because like we basically had a call that determined that like we wouldn't be able to be on it, and like it was pretty close. They would have skipped past all of the challenges and stuff. It was just like I think we were basically, if anybody backed out, we were in. Which was a nice place to be, because then I hear people who are like, yeah, they made us do these assignments and all of this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, we didn't have to do any of that.
Well, yeah, I think that was kind of a fun thing. It was a fun process. So you should struggle just like the common man.
Well, we'll see. I'm talking to one of them. I sent him a few messages, and he's just left me on red. So
yeah,
like he reached out to me first. He found me first. I looked at his profile and was like, oh shit, this is one of the casting people. Like he was obviously sent my way. But it was weird because he followed my personal Instagram, which like doesn't have any Lego. It's just like frogs and stuff.
I was gonna ask you about the frogs as well.
Just frogs. That's my personal Instagram just has frogs on it. Oh, there we go. Put it on the mount. Whoop.
Stick that pin in that hole. Almost on bag 2. How many hours later is this? An hour and a half later.
On the personal Instagram, I just post frogs. On the Lego, I post Lego.
But why frogs?
I don't know. I like frogs.
Deep question. Why frogs?
They're just silly looking.
But is your personal account Frogber? Is that what it was?
Yeah. So that's actually a really funny thing, because that username came from the Lego site. Because when I was younger, like the little rambunctious kid I was watching a lot of Dilbert. And like that was an adult show at the time. Kind of funny that I decided I really like this, and his dog was Dogbert, so I wanted to be Frogbert. And then I hopped on the Lego website and I typed in Frogbert, but Lego had a 7-character limit for your username at the time. So I became Frogbert.
Wow.
That's just been like my username everywhere pretty much ever since.
Well, that's a good story. I was wondering about that. Now I have an answer.
Which sucks because then Quick Build Bricks kind of became like the new username because like I promoted my own business on Quick Build Bricks and it really became bigger than the Frogbrick thing.
Right.
But still, most places that have a username, I'll be Frogbrick. And it's normally not claimed. Hopefully in the future that remains to be true. Hopefully I hop on stuff quick enough to still get it.
Yeah, now that you're going to be famous, you're going to be on the Lego Master. People are going to be stealing your sign in, and they're going to be guessing your passwords.
Can't wait. Because my passwords are very weak. It'd be very easy.
Look at that. You can't even get it all in one frame if I put it this way.
Oh, snap. I'm
It's-
actually on my last bag, funny enough.
A Star Destroyer. Look at that. Whoa, looks so real.
Actually, I have one pointing this way. I have a Star Destroyer right there. It's a fun build. Actually, I'm looking at the older one. And then actually right underneath the camera, I have an unbuilt one in the old gray.
But why? Oh, wait, you have every single Star Wars set ever. So
Yeah, I need one in the new gray and I need one in the old gray because I'm a
Right.
fucking psychopath.
yes, a fucking psychopath. Do you own the house that you're in? Are you renting? Or what's the deal with that?
Yeah, I own my house.
That's important because that means you're probably settling and you can have all that stuff. But yeah, getting evicted and having to move stuff, that's what leads to breaking stuff.
Exactly. So I'm very happy that I own this place now because I probably won't be moving for a little bit. It depends. I've been talking to a developer that was gonna buy the house and then they pulled out and I was talking to another one. That was why I was drinking so much at Brickworld. I basically all of my life plans were ruined in that moment. Because they pulled out of buying the house.
Right. Well, yeah, and that could be obviously yes. You start that it's that churning path of like, oh, if we sell the house, it's going to be this much, and then we can buy this, and then we can have that, and then we can do all these things, and then we can do all that stuff. And I don't even have a job right now, and this seems like the perfect time to be doing all this stuff with a bunch of money. So yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, it would have been really nice if that went through. I was also getting like almost double what I paid for my house.
Well, that's good.
So hopefully we'll get that going again soon. I gotta talk to more developers, figure out what the hell those assholes are thinking, and then hopefully they will give me money.
Yeah.
But like owning a house in Toronto at my age, I definitely did not think was gonna happen.
No.
So
You're only
that's
like
a
what,
big deal.
17 years old?
I look that young. That's the issue.
I think I guessed your age, didn't I?
I think you did, but it was after I literally said like, "You're just gonna guess wrong. You're gonna guess too low."
Yeah.
So you had an advantage there.
Yes. I aimed upwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So what's the future plans for you? What's your goal? Have you ever been interviewed like this on your own podcast or your show?
No, but I'm really enjoying it. It's kind of nice.
Well,
But
it's like,
plan-wise, I don't know. I'm going to be president of Toralug again. That's a sure thing this year. There's no fucking way I'm going to let that slip by me again. Because, like, in reality, I only lost the last election because I didn't really give a good speech. I basically said, like, we're both good choices. I'm happy with whatever happens. Like, we're both good for the club. Which is true, but I'm not going to say that this year. Because, like, I almost won with a bunch of people going, we don't even know if he still wants to do it. So this year I'm going to be very clear, like, hey, I want to do this. I want to be the president of Toralug. I want to make sure that we're actually going, like, into the future because, unfortunately, that club has been dragging its feet for a few years.
well, what's the leaving the politics of people aside? But what do you think the future of a lug is like you mentioned earlier, and I'm aware that the LAN and the Lego is definitely getting more stringent on their requirements. And but when I look at Toralug and I've seen the list of activities that you guys do, it is it's a good spread of activities when you compare that against a lot of the other lugs. Like there's a lot of lugs like the New England lug. I guess I just named names, but I talked to them and they're like, "Yep, we do our 2 train events every year, and that's enough for us to keep going." And I was like, 2 train events? That's what you do? But whether they whether they keep getting status or not, that's aside. But like Toralug does do, it seems to be a good chunk of stuff. You guys seem to have a wealth of resources, like having the CN Tower as one of your kind of group properties, I guess would be a thing. We'd have like Marilug has nothing really. Like we've got the Citadel, but the Citadel is just permanently on display in the Citadel. But anyway, what do you think the future of Toralug is?
Honestly, we just need to be more welcoming. Like we're already pretty welcoming. We have really good people. I'm actually very pleased with the current president. I don't have an issue there. I just like the way I do things a little better. But I also kind of like, the attention and the awards of the acclamation of being president is pretty nice too. But I'd say the future is like we really need to hone in on the events that work for us, figure out what doesn't work for us. Like I'm a huge proponent of we shouldn't do displays outside. Like that's just it. If the event's outside, that's not for us. Which is really funny because LEGO Canada has the exact same rule. Because when dust and bullshit get into your builds, it kind of messes up your build.
Yeah.
So like I'm hoping for that, and also I hope in the future we can become like a little more welcoming, a little more hand-holding with the way mocks work. What I really would like to start doing is setting up little like kits like the loot bag for Bricks and the Six. Setting up a kit of here's our bag. We're all going to build a mock with just this bag. And like in that way, we would charge a member, say like, hey, it's $20. We'll give you the parts from these like $40 sets that have been a little more organized. We'll hand them to you. You build whatever you want with it. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of an idea that I've had.
Yeah.
And then there's also a ton of stuff in Toralug that even as president, I can't change. And a lot of the stuff I can't change is working perfectly as is and doesn't really need to be messed with. Like Mark is our LAN ambassador, and I am so happy that nobody else is doing his job because I don't think anybody else in the lug could handle the amount of work that he puts in for us on a daily basis. And he puts it in, like, honestly, just for us. I don't think there's much enjoyment for him on that front.
Well, and I really should talk to Mark more because I think that's a really interesting position, and I know that relationship and how it's handled and being the representative to Lego is that's one of the ways to maintain having a relationship with Lego, and Patrick, is still Proto Pizza-less. He's our president, and like I don't know. I don't know if I have any interest in being a president. Like I don't even know what the accolades are. I just was like, I have a lot of energy, and I was like, could I, if we ever get recognized, I'd like to be the ambassador, but do I? Like, I think maybe ambassadors should be more like, I don't know, like an accountant or someone that, well, I don't know. Like, I don't know what the dynamics are with everybody, and what role is best. And but yeah, I don't know. Being president of a group, that seems like a lot of stress. I'm happy that Patrick is taking that stress. I'm just the events coordinator guy because that means I can basically do anything I want. and I'm not on the executive, so they can just be like, Sean, I think that's a stupid idea, and I'll be like, well, okay. But will that stop me? Who knows? But yeah, it's an interesting thing. But yeah, Futures of Lugs is a very interesting.
As president, you're very much like you're the first contact of the lug kind of deal.
Yeah.
So like anytime there'd be some kind of speaking engagement or like even like people reaching out to the lug to join, that's kind of what we do.
Right.
And I much prefer my approach because, we're almost up to 100 active members. And before that, I think we had like 40.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting when, other people come back into their role after, stepping down because the member kind of bullied them too much and they couldn't handle that. But that's so far besides the point. I actually really like Mike, who's the current president. He's a really good guy.
Yeah.
I just think I do it a little better.
Yeah, and that's good to have. I don't know. I think it's good to have. Well, if everyone's content, then I don't know. I think challenging things is good. It's like, do you want a monopoly or do you want to have some competition? It's healthy competition.
Yeah. For years, like we fought to just get people to be active, or to even get somebody to run. So like now there's actually an election. That's exciting.
Right. Yeah. Yes. And definitely from our perspective, coming from Marilug, it was like, well, there's 4 people and they're willing to do the job. Great. We don't even need to vote unless anybody really has something negative to say about one of these people. Nope. Okay, good. They're in. And I think that's, but that's, we're in the opposite end of things. We've got such a small group. We were like, it's 20 years that Novalug and Marilug has been a group, but it's gone through many changes and organizational structural changes, and a lot of the people that were in the group up until probably 5 years ago just are no longer in communication with the group. There's some people that have the history and the knowledge, but the actual president is just somewhere else right now. So yeah, it's an interesting like starting fresh in an old organization. Seems strange.
Yeah, and like literally Toralug has that problem. Like we've had members who use the fact that they were around from the beginning to be kind of abusive to other people.
Right.
So like that's kind of, I did touch a little bit on the fact that Mike did step down because somebody actually referred to him in a horrible way, and he was like, I don't need to deal with this shit, and bailed. And that was one of our like older members who kind of pushed the fact that she was like, they were one of the like founding members of Toralug, and it was just like, yeah, but nobody gives a shit anymore. So like you're saying, where you join within an existing organization, there's older history you might not even know. But in the end, in those positions as president, VP, that kind of stuff, it's good to not know some of that shit, because yeah, maybe you'll make the same mistakes, but maybe you'll do something new that they never thought of.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can't be forever beholden to, just because you were first doesn't mean you were, just because you're first doesn't mean you were right. Just because you're first doesn't mean change isn't constant, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, I can see that as being extremely frustrating to have the old guard going, change sucks. Yeah.
And like it was weird too, because the old guard kind of made positive social change, but their way of educating people was just maybe too aggressive. That's what I would say.
Right.
So like, as a funny little example out of nowhere, I will just bring up, like, if somebody made a racist comment, you message them specifically, you talk to them about like what was problematic about that, why you think it shouldn't happen again, and you have a discussion. This person would just go on the attack. And it was like, it's really, really a negative thing. And like I said, they almost got Mike to leave.
Right. Yeah,
So
and knowing Mike from the limited time that I knew Mike, Mike is a very nice guy, and I would not want him to be. It just seems like nobody should have to put up with that. So,
yeah.
But again, what's your tactic? Do you know? It's also a weird thing because it's a volunteer organization. It's a club that you want to have positive, good vibes with, and. Yep. You're just like, why am I dealing with all this negativity? It's supposed to be a good vibes, fun hobby thing. And yes, you want to be if you want to be the president, you want to help success. Like to have someone just shit on you seems, shitty. So,
yeah. But luckily that's not an issue. And then Mike eventually came back and then ran for president again. Which I'm a little like, if you couldn't handle the heat, don't get back in the fucking kitchen. But I'm not going to be that mean about it. Like I said, I think the club is great in his hands as well.
Yeah.
I just want to do it differently.
Yeah. I can sense that you are a spirited leader.
It was also really funny because I was El Presidente and I wore a old military uniform and had Lego medals.
This definitely does not surprise me in any way. As director of fun.
The director of fun. Somebody's going to die of fun.
But you were also director of fun at Brickworld, which I think made your shenanigans maybe more visible, I think.
Probably. Yeah, it definitely added to it. And also, like, in my defense, I was mostly drunk off of other people's alcohol that they were giving to me.
Yes. Actually, yes, you specifically mentioned that. We talked about it one night in Toronto. But
yeah, I was set
up. I'd like to make that clarification. I wasn't in Toronto for much of my trip.
You were in Mississauga. Actually, you didn't even land in Toronto. You landed in Etobicoke.
Things you learn.
Which, as I mentioned, not part of Toronto technically. It's part of the GTA. Actually, I think so. I'll be weird with this one and get really into Toronto specific regional stuff. So Mississauga, where Bricks and the Six is, not technically part of the Six because the Six is the 6 boroughs of Toronto that actually make Toronto. Which, funny enough, Etobicoke, where you landed, is in the 6, but it's not actually in Toronto. Because there's Toronto, which is the 6 boroughs that make Toronto, but then there's also Old Toronto, which is the proper Toronto before the amalgamation of the 6 boroughs. And Mississauga is part of the greater Toronto area.
Yeah, Halifax is very. There's the HRM, the Halifax Regional Municipality, and you can basically drive an hour and a half in any direction from where I am, and you are all in the Halifax Regional Municipality. Basically, meaning all the taxes go to one place, and all the roads and garbage is collected at one place. But other than that, it's I live in Halifax Peninsula, which is the original old Halifax. But we're basically landlocked. So all these other suburbs that used to be towns have just grown and grown and grown to become one continuous town, much like Toronto, but it's, a tenth of the size, at least a tenth of the size. I don't know.
Yeah.
20th of the size. But yeah, when there's no more land, like Halifax just became something else. And hence the HRM. But, there's like 10 different townships that have become like Dartmouth is, across the ocean, as many people will say, across the ocean, but it's still part of the HRM. It's a 5-minute bike ride across the bridge, but it's a weird what's what. But
yeah, weird little regional things.
You're actually done your thing. Where's the Y-Wing?
I have a little Y-Wing right here.
Oh my gosh, you finished it already. How long have you been done for? Like a half an hour?
Oh, it's been like a couple minutes. Like 20 minutes, maybe?
I got a stick. A big stick.
Well, that's the beginning of something.
Yeah.
this Yavin was a pretty easy build. It's actually really cute. I'm really impressed with it because when I first saw the like official images from Lego, which was like, mind you, I do have access to some of that stuff very early. I thought this was going to be a very different build.
Like a 4+ build, or what is it? It's a like a.
It's an 8+.
It's an 8+. But yeah, when I first saw it, it looked like the Jedi Training Temple, the ones from the kids show, which is a 4+.
On Tenu.
Yeah.
This one right here.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that would be on the same level, but that clearly is nicer.
Yeah.
What's your favorite feature of it?
I'd say you can move the 2 turrets on the front of the build from the back, so that's kind of neat. But also, like, I'm a big sucker for, let's pull him out, for this guy on the stick.
Right.
That's a good piece.
And he's got a spear.
Exactly.
He will protect from outer space with this space spear.
Yep. It's honestly, they have a really cool build feature for it. You can actually lift it and let it sit with the piece.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
That's cool. But when I first saw images of the set, it didn't look a thing like this. Like, it was like a $500 master builder set that was going to have like 20 figs. And I was unimpressed with it. I thought it kind of looked shitty, and I didn't understand why they would build something that big for no real reason.
Right.
And now that I see it this way with this amount of figs, I'm really happy with it.
Mm-hmm. It's a pretty good size. I know the Y-wing is petite, but it's still like, I don't know.
I don't mind tiny builds though.
Yeah.
Like I think it's really cute. It's really funny because the original version also had a Y-wing that size. But the thing is, it was going to have like 3 Y-wings that size and 2 X-wings that size and an A-wing that size. And it was ridiculous. It made no fucking sense why Lego would want to produce that set. But now that I'm looking at its final form, I'm very happy with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it looks pretty good. I just have a stick that's going to turn into something else.
Oh, that's what matters. Eventually,
how long do you think this thing's going to take me to build?
When I built it, it only took me 5 hours.
Well,
so for you, 20?
20 hours. Well, if I'm not talking, I got to get better at this whole talk and build thing. I tried, but then I wasn't making contact with. I was just staring it down. I was just doing this. So yeah, you're definitely a pro.
Really good. You did really good. A lot of people are not good at the concept. Like Nicole is one of our constant guests, and she is very bad at the building part, but she talks the entire time.
Right. I got to stare at my camera and not the screen. For some reason, I'm using separate webcams. I've got 2, and we didn't even go to my build camera. Why did I even log in that build camera? Look, you can see my stuff. But anyway, yeah, this was super fun. And I got to learn more about you and your audience, whoever's watching. Is anybody actually watching other than Patrick?
Yeah, we were up to 10 people watching at once, which I don't actually know what StreamYard means when it tells you 10 people.
Right.
Because there's been times when I see 10 and I open Facebook and it says 10. So I don't know which sources it really pulls from.
So this is simulcast on Twitch and YouTube and
Facebook.
Facebook.
Which is funny because like most people won't go on Facebook, and it's just because this stream when it originally started was just like in Facebook groups. And it was like just a silly thing that would happen every once in a while, and we would just throw it up and just like start doing it until it became, a fucking weekly show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern.
And you'd be drinking and building anyway, so except now
exactly.
You're building more. And is this even working anymore? Where's my screen? There we go. I saw some other comments in there at some point. Patrick is suggesting we go to Bricks in the Sticks as a suburb of Toralug. Sorry, Patrick, I missed all your comments. I'm going to read them. Michael was there.
The
Michael.
McPhee was here.
Michael Chan.
Michael Chan.
Yeah.
We got Michael Chan up in here.
Pretty exciting. Well, yes, I think this was fun. I could build all night, but I'm sure you want to go sit with your sweet, darling wife and watch some Bricks in the Six and rock some Bricks in the Six, some Deep Space Nine.
Oh, I'll probably go up there and turn something else on because I'm the Star Trek fan, which is funny in this relationship because I watched through all of these shows on my own time, basically. Oh, Nicole's here watching DS9. And I watched a lot of these on my own time, and it's so funny because then she went, I'm going to watch all of the original series. And I went, okay, I'm down for that. And then she was like, I'm going to watch Deep Space Nine and Voyager. She watched through everything, loved all of that stuff, but keeps going back to Deep Space Nine. And the thing is, if she wasn't watching Deep Space Nine, she'd be watching MASH.
Right. We talked about MASH.
Yeah. Those
MASH
are her two shows.
Like super deep things that I never expected MASH to be as engaging as it was made seem. When we talked about it at the hotel lounge over some beers. But now I want to watch MASH again. My brother really liked MASH, and I remember being on TV, and I remember wanting it to be funnier. I don't know. But it's been so long that I haven't, at least 20 years since I've even thought about watching an episode. So maybe I'll go watch it right now and watch some MASH and finish building Bag 2 because I have a lot of pieces to go.
It's a wild show to watch because it is so progressive for its year that it came out that you're like, what the hell am I watching? It makes no sense how progressive they are about stuff that even in modern times we're struggling with. And that's what I think makes that show so solid. Yeah.
See, you're selling it. Everyone's got to go watch MASH now.
MASH is so worth it. Nicole's already commenting saying that MASH is the best.
Yeah. What's MASH on? Is it on Prime? Is it on?
It's on Disney Plus.
Oh, good. That's
full series and the finisher and even the movie that technically predated it.
Wow.
Which is funny because in the movie, Father Mulcahy is played by Rene Auberjonois, who is Odo in Deep Space Nine.
Wow.
And then another really fun fact is Keiko O'Brien is in MASH, and she marries Klinger.
Huh.
Yeah. Really weird. But the movie's kind of shit, so go just watch the show.
Right. So I will queue up the show. I actually canceled all my streaming services and bought the year pass to Disney Plus because I was like, you know what? I'm tired of paying everybody's money. Amazon doesn't need my money and Netflix doesn't. Then my wife was like, what the fuck have you done? There's nothing good to watch on Disney Plus. Except, if you're a 10-year-old or a 6-year-old. And I was like, or you're really into Star Wars. But yeah, she just couldn't handle it. So, but I'll get her on the MASH.
With Disney Plus, the problem with it is it's impossible to fucking search for anything properly.
Yeah.
And they don't have good algorithms to tell you, hey, go watch this fucking movie. I'll name some random stuff like Treasure Planet. It's a great movie. Go check that one out. Remember the Titans is on there.
Yeah.
Shawshank Redemption, I think, is on there now because of Stars.
Yeah.
There's a lot of weird shit where you're like, I would never bother watching this. And what I always think that most places need to add, just give me a TV style thing. Click a button, it shuffles it. They go, here's fucking Remember the Titans. Because if you throw that movie in front of me, I'll watch that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it Samuel L. Jackson is a coach in a movie? I forgot the name. Coach Carter.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's on there. If that movie came on, I would go fuck yeah, I'll watch Coach Carter right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're almost at 2 hours, so I should probably try to let you go.
Okay.
Normally this is an hour, but this has been a really good one, so I let it keep going. And Sorry if you were trying to escape, but
No, I would be drinking and building Lego anyway, so might as well be with you.
I'm so happy that you grabbed my quote and are just going with it.
Well, it seemed to be the perfect thing. But anyway, thank you very much for having me. It was a joy, and thanks for everybody for watching. And we'll talk to you soon, I guess. Come to Bricks in the Six. No, come to Bricksplosion. That's what I'm selling.
Go to Bricksplosion, August 26th, 2023.
Halifax.
Get at it. Get in that Bricksplosion.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Halifax's favorite mascot is Splody, named after the famous massacre.